I look at the Pokemon trading card game and I see something that is just completely messed up, and not for the reasons that a lot of people are talking about, which is the fact that the cards prices and sealed stuff is very much inflated in price, and it seems like it's in a bubble that will at some point inevitably burst and go down to some extent, especially because these newer sets are to some degree being reprinted, and some of the ones even from last year I believe are going to be reprinted as well. Hopefully that'll get more inventory out there and kind of work things out in terms of price. But it's also really easy to look back at different card packs, maybe from the early 2000s. I opened a ton of e-reader card packs back in the day to look at those and say, hey, if I'd have never opened those and I just kept them sealed, they'd be worth like 100 times more than the $3 I paid for them or whatnot, because so many of these sealed products in particular have inflated in price. But what's really concerning to me as somebody that does periodically actually play the trading card game is it gets people out of actually playing the game. We've turned Pokemon cards into a sort of collectible, something that you just kind of either keep sealed or you open and then you immediately put in sleeves. And we're missing out on getting people to actually play the card game. Many of these people who are collecting the cards, it seems like, don't even know the rules to the card game. We've gotten away from Pokemon cards being a true trading card game in the sense that there's a card game with rules and structure here. We've almost drifted more towards baseball, football, sort of sports cards where they don't follow an actual game format and they are merely a collectible. And as someone that plays the card game and someone that can't get inventory of the cards very easily because of that and has seen the prices rise and it become increasingly less accessible to the next generation of players, it's very frustrating to see this changeover happening. But there is one good caveat to all of this, and it's the Pokemon Online trading card game, which of course is the tablet and Windows version of the game where you can play the card game electronically online, and you can do so using virtual cards. If you've ever opened a pack of Pokemon cards, you've probably seen that little code card that comes inside. You can redeem that code card from the physical cards to get a digital pack on the game itself. What's really cool is it's actually not the exact same pack. Like, the code doesn't know what cards you opened in the pack, so you get a different set of cards opened in the pack that you open online. So you kind of get to open a pack twice, both physically and digitally when you do it that way. But you could also just simply start out with a starter deck on the trading card game online, and you can kind of work your way into getting different free packs. It's very slow progression, but nonetheless, if you want to actually learn how to play the card game, this is the way to do it, rather than, say, reading a rule book or something like that, which I think the rule books are available online, but I don't think they get printed to the degree they used to when I was a kid, when everybody seemed like they were a little bit more engaged in actually playing the card game. And then if you get really into playing online, you can just buy lots of just code cards from people on eBay or elsewhere online, and you can just get tons of code cards that people don't want. I know people personally who have given me their code cards before because they don't want to play the online game, so they just said, hey, you play the online game, take these code cards or I'm going to throw them in the garbage. And I got to open that many more packs on the app itself, which I think is really cool. I wish that the Pokemon trading card game online version would come to something like the Nintendo Switch, or would be playable on the phones, even though you can do it through side loading it on Android, but it's just made for a larger display like a tablet, so that's why it's not on the Google Play Store. Though I will say, if you're a new player playing online, you will very quickly realize that many people have just some very well-tuned decks that play very well. They're very strong decks, and you'll probably run into most players online that are much more experienced than you, and for that reason, I recommend playing online in a starter deck league. So those are, leagues and ranks that are based around all players using a starter deck. You can use starter decks from different generations, different sets, but the point is you'll be playing online against someone else that has a starter deck, and because of that, it's a little bit more balanced than just kind of going in with whatever cards you got up against some guy that may be super OP. Of course, in order to do this, you need to actually purchase a physical starter deck at a store, which I think is going to be a little bit easier to do than buying packs, just because I assume the starter decks are less sought after. But get yourself that physical starter deck and redeem the code to get the digital starter deck. Usually the starter decks will follow some sort of theme. They'll have one key Pokemon on the outside of the packaging, and that's kind of the Pokemon that the rest of it follows the theme of. So kind of pick one that you like there, or if you're familiar with any of the strategies in the TCG, maybe play off it that way. But oftentimes people just pick up the character that they're most familiar with and like the most, and it will really give you a great sense of strategy because these decks are built around a certain strategy that you'll probably quickly catch on to and be able to play with. Not to mention the fact that they come with a great source of energy cards and trainers, which, you know, most people collecting the cards, those aren't the ones they want. But if you're actually playing the trading card game, some of these core, you know, trainers that are in these decks are going to be used in any future decks you make, and having, you know, 3-4 of them already set to put into another deck that you decide to make down the road. I may be the only person that feels this way, but I really like buying and playing with starter decks. I just think it's a fun dynamic to have this pre-made deck and kind of try to get an idea of how it's supposed to be played. I wanted to do the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to pick up some structured decks and try that out, but they don't have any sort of online play system similar to this, and taking a structure deck to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament is not going to be viably competitive. But if you were to play a couple Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure decks against one another, then you might have a little bit more of an even matchup. So if you guys really are looking to get into Pokemon, you've been itching to open some packs, but there aren't any around to pick up, I recommend checking out the Pokemon trading card game online and opening some packs there. That's going to get you some, you know, fun from opening the packs, but it's also going to get you familiar with how to play the game, the rules of it, and if you're somebody that doesn't want to collect and sit on and speculate on these cards going up in value in the future, this is a good way to get your toes wet with actually playing the game and having fun, in my opinion, the way the game was designed to be played. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Bailey, and I'll see you in the next video.